Hello PWL fans, and welcome back for the round 3 draft retrospective, where we have another 6 players to look at. If you haven't already, make sure to watch the first 2 rounds, especially as there are terms in this video you won't understand unless you've seen the first ones. With that out of the way, let's begin the recap. Round 3, pick 13, Ben Clement. With the first pick of the 3rd round, the Bethany Eagles selected Ben Clement. Clement's archetype is power serve specialist, and there is little doubt that Ben Clement had the most feared serve receive in the entire league, eliminating entire rounds at a time just off of serves. Clement hit the ground running with 17 points in Week 1 before his best performance of the season with 25 points on 13 eliminations and 4 regicides in Week 2. 23 more points in Week 3 along with his best statistical line of 15 knockouts and 7 regicides solidified him as a league titan. After 2 more 18-point performances, Clement finally looked human as he finished his last game with only 10 points, perhaps demoralized by his team's helpless position. Clement finished 7th in the league in scoring and 8th in points per game at 18.5, but on the stat sheet was where he reigned supreme, finishing 5th in adjusted points per game, 4th in eliminations, adjusted points, eliminations per game, and regicides per game, and tied for 3rd in total regicides. In addition to this, Clement ranked 2nd in point percentage, elimination percentage, and regicide percentage. In terms of all 3 main stat lines, nobody contributed more to any team than Ben Clement did to the Bethany Eagles. Obviously enough to win him Bethany Eagles Team Most Valuable Player and a Pro Bowl selection at the award show. Clement finished 3rd once, 2nd twice, and won 3 matches for his team, and is a 5-time top 10 player, 3-time top 5 player, and 1-time top 3 player. Taken in the 3rd round, Ben Clement was obviously a steal. Round 3, pick 14, Chris Dyer. The Highlanders used their 3rd pick on the older of the Dyer bros, a power spiker player who could really also fit as a full throttle. Chris Dyer immediately looked like a top player in his first game, scoring 23 points on 10 eliminations and a regicide in Week 1, Game 1, against a retrospectively stacked game, including Ben Clement, Jack Fairhurst, and Riley Graham, but unfortunately for Hillsborough, it was his best performance of the season, as Dyer dropped heavily over his next 4 games, scoring 9, 10, 7, and 12 points before turning his season around at the very end, scoring 18 points in his final game. Dyer was a story of what could have been, as he finished 18th in the league in scoring, averaging just over 13 points per game. Dyer had 2 third-place finishes, but his match win in Week 1 allowed him to earn the accolades of 1-time top 10 player, 1-time top 5 player, and 1-time top 3 player, as he scored the 3rd most points of anyone in Week 1. Chris Dyer may have not lived up to the hype, but his 2 phenomenal performances earn him the distinction of good pick. Round 3, pick 15, Nicholas Halford. With the 15th overall pick, Rose City selected Nicholas Halford, a balanced all-rounder player. Halford came out of the draft scoring 10 points, moving up to 12, and again to 14 points in Week 3, Game 3, with 5 eliminations and 1 regicide. Pickle was a growing fan favorite and an aspiring middle-of-the-pack player, but it all fell away as Week 3 proved to be his peak. He played 2 more games in which he scored 8 and just 4 points, and missed his Week 5 game entirely. He finished bottom 5 among rostered players in total points scored at 27th, and averaged just above 9 points per game. Halford remained the people's hero, but it isn't enough to halt us from labeling him a reach. Round 3, pick 16, Jack Fairhurst. With the 4th pick of the 3rd round, the Cedar Mills Shockwaves selected Jack Fairhurst, the younger of the Fairhurst bros and a balanced court general archetype. Fairhurst was famously the first elimination of the season in Week 1, Game 1, but he had the last laugh as that 15-point performance turned out to be his worst game. His best game came the next week in Week 2, Game 4, where he scored 21 points on 11 eliminations and 3 regicides. Jack never scored less than 18 points over the next 4 weeks, scoring another 21-point performance in Week 5 as well. Statistically, not many proved better on paper than Fairhurst, who was quite literally 6th in every recorded stat in the league, averaging just under 19 points per game. First blood, Fairhurst narrowly lost in his team's MVP race, and while it didn't help his grade, he did win the Scouter Award. What did help his grade was his selection to Pro Bowl honors at the award show, placing 3rd twice, 2nd 3 times, and winning 1 match as well, and being a 5-time top 10 player and 1-time top 5 player. Overall, Jack Fairhurst had excellent stats and accolades, which earned him the title of Steel. Round 3, Pick 17, Jimmy Winkle. The Ballers used their 3rd pick on Jimmy Winkle, a full-throttle power player from the Bronx, and the middle of the Winkle siblings. Winkle's best performance came in Week 3, Game 2, where he scored 16 points on 3 eliminations, also being his only accolade as a 1-time second-place finish. In his other games, he scored 13, 11 twice, and 8 twice. He finished 24th in points scored, averaging just over 11 points per game, which isn't too bad, but not enough to justify his draft slot, making him a reach. So unserious. Round 3, Pick 18, Riley Graham. With the last pick of the 3rd round, the Aloha Gladiators selected full-throttle power player Riley Graham. Graham's best performance was in Week 4, Game 2, where he scored 22 points on 12 eliminations and 3 regicides. He scored over 20 again in Week 6 with 21. His low points were 2 14-point games in Weeks 2 and 4, but he more than made up for them with 17 and 18-point games in Weeks 1 and 3. He was an extremely reliable number 2 for the Gladiators, as the Sorcerer finished 9th in the league in points scored, but with a couple other top 10 stats as well, including 10th in point percentage and elimination percentage, 8th in adjusted points and adjusted points per game, and 7th in eliminations and eliminations per game. Graham finished 3rd once, 2nd twice, and 1st twice in his 6 games, and was a 4-time top 10 player. Riley Graham's efforts earned him a Pro Bowl nod at the award show, easily enough to justify a grade of Steel. That'll do it for the 3rd round. We added 3 steals, 1 good pick, and 2 reaches to the draft board, making our total numbers now 4 steals, 5 good picks, and 9 reaches. The Cedar Mill Shockwave have had the best draft class so far, to nobody's surprise, with 1 steal and 2 good picks. The Hillsboro Highlanders in 2nd with 1 steal, 1 good pick, and 1 reach. The Bethany Eagles and Aloha Gladiators both have had 1 steal and 2 reaches, and the worst draft classes so far are the Rose City Wreckers and Beaverton Ballers, both with no steals, 1 good pick, and 2 reaches. That'll be it for today. We'll see you next time for the Round 4 Draft Retrospective, which will be uploaded shortly. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.